Coach, three straight for this program. You were obviously a part of last year's. What have you kind of taken from that? What's the mindset for maybe some of the new guys coming into this game?
Well, I think the first thing is, whether you've won a Big Sky championship before, or, in my own experience, playing in conference tournaments and having a lot of success, there's a process involved, right? There's the prep, but there's also, I think, the attitude and the mentality. And I think what our guys did a great job of last year that is, worth drawn from is the ability to just play with a lot of confidence and freedom, while certainly having a lot of emphasis and intensity around execution. At the end of the day, we don't get any credit for what's been done in the past. Every game has a story of its own. Every tournament's going to have a story of its own. But it does give us a lot of confidence going into Boise to have the only roster full of guys that have won a championship before or even played in a championship game. And so those are certainly experiences we can draw from.
The last two games, the offense has really been working well. The numbers have increased a lot, obviously. What can you point to that's just been the biggest contributor?
Well, I think our guys have done a really good job of leaning into our systems and our framework and leaning into one another. It's also come with an increased, pace of both ball movement and transition opportunities, which have kind of unlocked some aspects of our abilities. And at the end of the day, that's a very clear picture of the way we want to play, and it's great to be able to see that on back-to-back nights, heading into Boise, and have a clear picture of that. And our guys have been developing those habits throughout the entire process that we've been here, and so it's exciting to be playing our best basketball at the right time.
You mentioned style of play and doing what's best to be successful, kind of as why Brandon is now on the bench, hasn't played the last couple of games. Why specifically, I guess, was his benching part of that style of play change that you want?
Well, I think for our entire team to maximize their talents, we just needed to play at a pace that would create opportunities for everybody. And Brandon has been a huge part of a lot of our success, including last year's championship run. And sometimes you've got to take a step, back to see the big picture. And I thought the rest of our team did a really good job of stepping forward into those voids and really leaning into one another and the framework. And he's done a great job of having a good attitude and staying ready, because you just never know, what opportunities are going to present themselves. And so just as John Olmstead, stepped up last year and kind of unlocked some components of our identity, I thought that Sam Lekalot has brought a burst of energy and juice, to both sides of the ball, and allowing that to really manifest and unlock some of the other guys has been healthy for us.
Well, just to not see him at all in these last couple of games, not even in kind of the garbage time, I'm just curious why, not even just a few minutes or just a lower role than you had all the games prior to that.
Yeah, we just we're making decisions that are what we feel are going to help the team be successful. He's had a lot of opportunity. He's done a great job in many ways, and so we know what he brings to the table, but we also have to make decisions that are best for the group. And certainly it's not an easy decision to take your leading scorer and rebounder and try it a different way, but it has led to kind of a rebirth of the group. And we'll see what unfolds in coming days. He's certainly capable of helping us in a big way.
Style of play, is that the main reason why the defense has been so good as well the past couple of years?
Yeah, I mean, I think when you take away somebody that has been as effective as Brandon has, in some ways it makes everybody else step up to the challenge, and that happens on both sides of the ball, because you don't have that crutch, so to speak, of whatever that's meant in the past. And so in order to get out in transition and really maximize some of the perimeter advantages that we have, you have to get stops, and the guys have done a good job stepping up to the plate and doing that thus far.
We talked a lot about guys. Obviously, Patrick has had a lot of production off the bench as well. His numbers continue to increase. So, what have you kind of seen his development over the regular season? How much impact has he had for the team?
Yeah, Pat and Jabe are both playing, really good basketball. I think they've done a good job of, finding opportunities to create offense, not only for themselves, but also for others, Jabe in particular. Pat just gives us a pop, around the basket as a penetrator out in transition. He plays through the fundamental habits that we teach in terms of playing off 2 feet and being balanced. And so everything that he does well, I think is really, maximized and accentuated, in some of the spacing principles that we have. And in order to see that come forward, it takes all 5 guys moving the basketball and creating closeouts and screening, and so it's certainly a team effort on that end.
There's a lot of collective postseason tournament experience, whether it's guys who have been here for several years or like Jake and Max have been to tournaments before. How much are you asking them all to draw on their previous experience in these kinds of scenarios and just kind of like trust their work and trust their experience as you go into this?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's not something that we've talked about, recently, but it's something that we talked about when they came here, right? This is a program that's accustomed to competing for championships. It's accustomed to having success in March. That's one of the reasons why they came to be a part of this program. And obviously, in today's day and age, experience matters. And so, bringing guys that have some of those experiences with them, is a really valuable asset. As you head to Boise.
Chica played a lot. Obviously, the last more than a couple games. The last game, he was passing really well, and he's always been a good passer. But how much is that ability and his just continued success in that area kind of maybe unlocked or just helped your guys' offense?
Yeah, I think Chica is one of those guys that it fits great into the framework that we use, and our 5 men have a lot of opportunity. They have a lot of opportunities to handle the basketball, in the mid-range and out on the perimeter, and he's a very good decision maker, and one that is constantly trying to help his teammates get open. Whether that's with the pass or with the screen, he does a really good job of making others better, and so we were able to, I think, tap into that, quite well on Saturday night and at Sac State, and also on Monday against Idaho. And again, we're as coaches trying to put people in positions to maximize themselves, and he has one of those skill sets that also just happens to maximize the talents of a lot of other people.
Seeing the 3-point shooting, obviously from Tyler in the Sac State game and in the last 2 games, and then the cutting and some of the back cuts and the dunks and the layups you're getting in those situations. Is that kind of those moments kind of be like, okay, this is what I wanted this to look like, or kind of feel closer to what you kind of envisioned this whole season?
Absolutely. I think from the moment I got here a year and a half ago, we've had to create a new vision for our style of play. Obviously, the rosters that Danny had here had a different flavor profile, a different element of size and power, and it was going to be hard to replicate that recipe. Given the timing and circumstance of my hire, and at the same token, you've got to be true to who you are and what you believe and what's made you successful and created these opportunities for you in the first place. And I've just always been a big believer in sharing the basketball and using the 3-point line as a great spacing element, and getting out in transition and having pace to our offensive attack. And so we want to continue to build that identity as a program. In the midst of trying to do that, you're also trying to maximize, the talents and that you have. And sometimes those things fit perfectly together, and sometimes you're trying to get everything to fit together, as you go along. And so we've learned a lot, over the course of this season as a group. But I think our guys have a very clear picture right now of what our identity is, what it looks like to play Bobcat basketball, and this is a great time to be saying that.
Not sure where the Big Sky ended up in terms of average margin of victory, but for a while it was very close to one of the more competitive leagues. How do you expect that to carry over, if at all, to this neutral site tournament that you're getting into?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I can't predict the future, but I think there's been just so much parity across the board in the conference. You've got just very small margins, and all of us are looking for ways to maximize what we have and to neutralize the strengths of our opponents. On a neutral court, you're going to see probably even more. Even more of that. I would be shocked if there's a bunch of blowouts this week. It hasn't happened throughout the course of conference play, and certainly when you get on a neutral court, that levels some things out in different ways as well.
Brian, last two Februarys was kind of quiet, didn't score a lot, and then last March, obviously, he had a really good March. This March, he's kind of broken out of that the stretch of not scoring. So, is there anything to that you think why he maybe just kind of stepped up in March the last couple of years, and why he's maybe a little more comfortable this month compared to February?
Yeah, I mean, I think as I looked back on last year, there was a little bit of a wall that I thought he hit in early February. Just maybe as a byproduct of the transition and all the change, and then everything that he took on and helping us kind of establish the roots of our culture and our program. And he obviously got off to a really strong start, but had never gone through a full 12-month calendar year of the Division One process, which includes a lot more of structure in the summertime and all of that. Once he broke through that wall, and then it also coincided with a little bit of our team just kind of getting in the mud and not really playing the way that we want. And he's a guy that really fits our system, and he fits our concepts, and he fits our style when the ball's moving around and playing with pace. And so once we got back to that, and he got through some of that fatigue, you're able to see the better version of him there late in the year in Boise. And I think this year there hasn't been as much of that wall effect, but we as a group haven't necessarily been able to put week upon week visuals out there for the way that we want this thing to look, especially on the offensive side. And then quite frankly, our team is probably a little bit deeper in that position group. And so, when you have such small margins and you have a deep roster, you can fall out of rhythm at times. But certainly he's a guy that I have a ton of trust in. He's played in a lot of big moments. That had 25 points in the Big Sky tournament last year against Weber State, and played really well in the NCAA tournament as well.
Are there any plans or hopes to watch the MSU women's team? When you're in
Yeah, absolutely. We'll have practice Sunday morning, and as soon as that gets done, we'll head over to the arena to support them. And they're having a phenomenal season. Obviously, tremendous regular season championship, but I know that there's more that they're striving for as well. And so anything we can do to support that, we're all about guests.
Not sure how often you're able to watch any of their games, but just in terms of looking at stats or talking with Trisha, what have you learned about why they have had the season that they've had?
Well, I mean, I haven't. I don't get to watch as much as I'd like, just because of our schedule overlap and all that. But from what I have seen and know, just even thinking about their team, it makes me nervous. To not turn the ball over. Just what they do on the defensive end and how disruptive they are is pretty incredible to watch. And Morales, what she has done as a leader at the point guard position, being an extension of Coach Ben, has been, I think, felt by everybody. And I think the thing that you feel just in the department, in our offices, is just the cohesion, the connectedness, the selflessness that their girls have. And that's, really what this game is all about. And so they've set a great blueprint for all of us, and I'm excited to see them, hopefully finish well.